It is the front page Saturday Town Hall edition. I'm Dominique DiPrima. I want to let you know, by the way, because we are talking about the propositions today, and a lot of people have been asking me about those. We've got somebody on the left, somebody on the right to give you your own information to digest. You can find those at kjlhradio.com. Just go under Radio Free Live, Radio Free TV, and you can find our podcast. This one will be up by Monday for sure. And then you can find them also at YouTube. Radio Free TV. Guy Black is going to be on after this, and he's got great music for you, along with the Battle Royale. So there's a lot going on today as we take a look at our propositions. We're being joined now by community organizer and scholar. He's an activist from Inglewood, California. He's a fifth-year doctoral candidate in the Social and Cultural Studies and Education program at UC Berkeley, where his research focuses on youth-based social movements. David C. Turner III, welcome to the front page. Mr. Turner, welcome. You'll be representing the left in this conversation. Good morning.
Hey, what's going on, folks? Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. What's your top issue today? Well, this whole season.
Oh, man. As a black man in America staying alive, I'll definitely say that's my top issue. But I think for sure, right, there are a couple of issues that are going to be on your ballots. For those of you who have mail-in ballots, please make your voting plan today. Do not wait. You can go ahead and submit those, today, tomorrow, or any time before November 3rd, right? So please make sure to make your voting plan and make it happen. But my top two issues today, I have a lot of issues on the ballot that I really care about. But the top two I'm going to talk about today are Proposition 15 and Measure J.
Okay, so just quickly, we talked about those earlier. We're going through these in order. And I do want to circle back to Jay because that's super important. So just give me a quick note on where you are with them, and then we'll return.
Absolutely. So first of all, folks, let's start off with Prop 15. Here in the state of California, right, we have had years and years and years of divestment in our communities, right? I'm not sure, for all the listeners out there, if you've gone to LAUSD or Inglewood Unified or any of the schools, right, that are located in Los Angeles County or across the state, right? But if you've gone to schools where the majority of the students are people of color, right, you've seen the crumbling infrastructure, you've seen some of the broader issues, you've seen textbooks that, quite frankly, weren't updated, right? So I went to a school, right, that had a better gym than we had classrooms. So schools and communities first, but that proposition is going to do is it's going to tax corporations, large corporations, not the regular small businesses, right? It's going to tax large corporations their fair share of taxes, particularly those corporations who have been here since the passing of Proposition 13 back in the 1970s. So there is no reason why regular homeowners should be paying a larger percentage of taxes compared to a place like Chevron, compared to a place like Disneyland.
So you're a yes on 15 for sure.
Yes on 15 for sure. We absolutely need to ensure that those folks who are making billions of dollars in this state, right, are paying their fair share of taxes. Again, now, one of the popular misconceptions about Proposition 15 is that it's going to have a negative effect on homeowners. That is not the case. That is not the case at all. That is explicit misinformation. Yeah. Right. The language was written explicitly, right, to target large businesses who have been here and have been established like before the passing of
Absolutely.
Proposition 13.
Okay, I'm going to
that's
push you on time today because I want to get through this ballot, and we almost never do when we have these conversations. We typically get stuck on one proposition. And bringing in Keith Hardeen, he calls himself a constitutional rights activist, a Trump supporter, and a former use of force consultant for the Los Angeles and Orange County probation officers of Southern California. Keith Hardeen, welcome.
Hey, everybody. It's good to be on a show that I know that we all disagree, and I just wanted to make that clear from the outset.
Of course we will. That's how people get to thinking. So your top issue on the ballot, your top prop.
Well, it's not so much just one issue, but, any of the issues that regard the taking of property, life, liberty, or property. Those are the three basic function of government that government is to secure: the right to life, liberty, and property. So judging from that, I could see that most of the propositions will do just that and deprive us of our life, liberty, or property, whether it be a corporation or individuals.
So you're voting no on everything, pretty much? We'll go through them, but mostly everything.
Not everything.
Okay. So you don't have a top prop. It's more of a concept for you.
Yes, ma'am. It's always with me a philosophy.
Got it. Okay. Well, because it's so important, I want to go back to Measure J. We talked about it earlier with our earlier set of guests. J is an LA County only measure, and it's about resetting budget priorities. Let me see. Let me take the language. Reimagine LA County is what it's called. Your take on that, Keith Hardeen?
Well, the reimagine. Well, let me explain exactly why I said that it's always about philosophy. Because no matter, I guarantee you all, everyone listening to the sound of my voice, all of these propositions, no matter how it turns out, it will be irrelevant, null and void, because we are in the midst of an agenda of the left to really confiscate our rights and to take away our freedoms. And so it doesn't matter how people vote on this, because we live in a totalitarian state, and this state will do what they want to do. The legislature is overwhelmingly Democrat. Everybody
as voted by the citizens, which is not the definition of totalitarianism.
Nevertheless, the Democrats run the show, every aspect of it, even how we vote.
All right. So you're not taking a position on Jay?
No.
Okay.
Well, my position, of course, is no.
You're voting no on Jay. Okay, got it. David Turner, the third, your thoughts on Reimagine LA County, Measure J.
Again, thank you so much again for having me here. So just to be clear, right, we live in LA County that over prioritizes spending on things that are harmful and doesn't put spending on things that are helpful. So what Measure J does is it creates a 10% carve out, right, of different forms of revenue coming into the county. So that way those that 10% can be used on alternatives to incarceration, such as job training, rental assistance, and youth programming, right? We absolutely need to pass Measure J, right? Because when we talk about we want to solve LA's homeless problem, that's going to cost money. When we talk about we want our young people to succeed and we want our young people to have the tools that they need to thrive, that's going to cost money. When we need renters insurance, that's going to cost money. Our renters assistance, that's going to cost money. So passing Measure J actually gives us valuable alternatives, right, to making sure that we can solve our issues in Los Angeles County without having to just rely on putting people in jail. That is the reason why we need to pass Measure J. It's not just a quote-unquote, right, like, issue of the left. This is an issue of human rights.
Okay, we are going to keep it moving in the interest of getting through all of these. Proposition 19, don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I don't consider it a top priority, but this, maybe I'm missing something. It changes the rules for tax assessment transfers. Eligible homeowners can transfer their tax assessment to a different home of the same or lesser market value. Starting with you, David C. Turner III, on this one.
Yeah, so what I do know about Proposition 19 is that Proposition 19, right, is much more of a special interest type issue as opposed to, really being able to support homeowners or disabled folks, right? So for the organizations and for the people that I work with more closely, they're leaning more towards no, right, on Proposition 19. I personally have to do a little bit more research on it, so I know what's good. But for that particular proposition, it's looking like a no. Definitely want to make sure that people have that people understand, right, like what exactly it is. So, no.
Okay, Mr. Keith Hardeen, your take on Proposition 19.
Well, once again, a raising of property tax on inheritance. If I wanted to pass down my house to my son or daughter, then they have to pay a higher property tax. That is not a good thing. We have the right to receive an inheritance from our parents and grandparents, and the inheritance.
But this isn't about inheritance. This is about when you want to move to another house, buy a new house, as a person over 55 years old, being able to keep your tax assessment from prior. This isn't about inheritance per se. There's plenty of. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of conversation about that we can have about that. That's probably another show. But on the surface of it, you're a yes on 19?
No. I am on 19.
Oh, you're voting no. Okay, so so far it looks like you guys agree on 19. Let's go to 20. This is a big one. Imposes restrictions on parole program for nonviolent offenders who have completed the full term of their primary offense. This is basically a clawback of some social justice, criminal justice reform measures that we've passed as voters in the state of California that would make, more things felonies that can't be downgraded to misdemeanors, that would require DNA samples to be taken from certain peoples who get misdemeanors and put into a statewide database. Mr. Hardeen, where are you on Proposition 20?
Well, let me answer it by saying this real quickly so that everybody understands where I'm coming from. I am reading when I evaluate or assess these propositions, I'm reading from the official voter guide that everyone received in the mail. It's important to say that because, if we are being deceived, if voters are being deceived by the wording,
and we are, we always are,
okay.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So
okay, so go ahead.
You might even agree with me on this because when we make our vote, we can only go with the information that we have.
Right. So where are you on 20? I don't want to get bogged down and not get through these. I'm sorry.
Right, okay. Yes.
You're voting yes on 20. Okay.
That's
you want to
correct.
say why in a couple sentences?
Well, again, it's been all brought up before by Earl Weber about the importance of parolees. If you're on parole, you should not be allowed to. You should not be a part of the vote until you are off parole.
Right, but Prop 20 isn't about that. It rolls back criminal justice reform. This is what the LA Times says, that it's a foolish. It's taking California away from decades of foolish and wasteful policies that prevent even low-level offenders from correcting their mistakes. This is actually one of the rare areas of bipartisanship in our government right now where Republicans are getting on board with, reeling in this prison industrial complex. But you're still a yes on 20?
Yes, because so you don't think that the offenses should be increased against those who commit theft and fraud?
I think we over-incarcerate, and I think the voters already voted on that. But it doesn't matter what I think. Well, it does. But I was just asking what you think. So where are you on this? Yes. You're voting yes on 20, Keith Hardeen. Got it. David C. Turner, community organizer, scholar, talk to me about Prop 20.
I'm definitely a no. I'm a hard no on Proposition 20. The last thing that we need to do is we don't need additional spending on prisons on probation, parole, right? We spend way too much money on incarcerating folks, on harming our communities, right? And we have already, right, the state of California has already voted against these things, right? We have already voted, right, to change nonviolent drug offenses and misdemeanors. We have already voted, right, to begin to reduce our prison populations, right? We have already voted, right, for criminal justice reform because we know that our criminal justice system is broken, right? So no, a hard no on Proposition 20. And anyone who wants to vote yes for Proposition 20 is quite frankly an enemy of black people.
Real quick, Wendell from Los Angeles, you had a question on Prop 20? Wendell, are you there?
Okay. But, I'm glad you guys clarified number 15 for me.
Okay, I just need you.
That. You just carry on.
Oh, carry on. Okay. Well, I feel like Proposition 20 is one of the huge ones on our ballot, and I feel like people are getting misinformation about this. Proposition 20, is really undoing something. Actually, 2 or 3 things that the voters already said yes to. Why is that a good thing? Are we, Keith Hardeen? Aren't we undermining what the voters of California already said?
Well, as I said or tried to say before, all of these propositions are going to be worded in such a way that people are confused.
So then you should say no on all of them, right? No.
No, not necessarily.
Okay, but as a Trump supporter, Trump supporters, love to claim that they are on board with criminal justice reform. So shouldn't you be a strong no on Proposition 20 if in fact Trump is, so interested in criminal justice reform that helps undo the injustice black people have suffered at the hands of our criminal justice system? Shouldn't we, those of us Trumpers and others, be saying no on Prop 20 if we want to, stop over incarcerating black people?
No, because we have crafty lawyers who know how to word it so that you can, so that their people are confused just by what you just said and the way you worded it. It's very important to understand when you read these propositions. It says to restrict parole for certain offenses currently considered to be nonviolent. So I am definitely a yes vote on that.
Okay. Talk to me. Explain to me why this is extra important, or why we should consider it, impactful for our community. David C. Turner.
On Proposition 20?
Yes.
Well, let's walk through one of the examples, right? One of the examples in Proposition 20, for example, would be to reduce the amount of, let's say, for example, a robbery, right, or some theft. It would be to reduce the dollar amount that thing is worth to $250, right? So let's say, some 18-year-old kid, right, steals a pair of Jordans, right? A pair of Jordans that may be about $250, right? Does that 18-year-old kid deserve a felony?
Yeah.
Does that 18-year-old kid deserve hard prison time for Jordans? Absolutely not, right? So again, right, like one of the things that I find hilarious is how in one breath, right, like somebody who is a Trump supporter could talk about totalitarian government and then in the other breath want to give the government more powers to be totalitarian. So no, absolutely. We're voting no on Proposition 20 because we absolutely need to ensure that we provide support for young people. We provide support for our communities. We don't need to over-incarcerate them. California tried that and it decimated black and brown communities. We don't need to go back.
All right. Well, we're going to move on here in the interest of time. Proposition 21 amends state law to allow local governments to establish rent control on residential properties over 15 years, basically repealing Costa-Hawkins. I got to take a break here, but I want to get your quick yes or no on this, and your quick reason why, and then we'll go into it a little deeper when we get back. Go ahead, Keith Hardeen.
Well, I would say no on the rent control bill. In other words, property again. I'm going right back to the Constitution. Government's primary job is to secure these rights, rights meaning property being the first, okay? Life, liberty, and property. So rent control is government's expansion of power to take more control of the individual's rights. And that means renters. Okay,
we'll go more in depth when we get back from our break. So got it. So you're a no on 21. David C. Turner, the third community organizer. Your thoughts on Prop 21?
A definite yes on 21. The vast majority of people who live in not only this great state but also LA County are renters, and rent control, right, and ensuring that we can have rent control is critical for the vitality for so many working class people in this state. We need rent control. So yes on 21.
All right, we're going to take a break right here. When we get back, we'll go a little bit more in depth to 21 because I think this is another big one on our ballot right now. And we're going to try to make it through all of these. I think we will. It's the front page, 520-KJLH, 520-5554. We're Radio Free, 102.3 KJLH.